Okay, so I'm with Jason again, who's been helping me out in some mini lessons and some of the lessons in course one. And I've just printed out something from the internet. It's called 10 Tips for Job Interview Success. If you want to have a look after watching this, it's on a website called www.careerbuilder.co.uk, and you just put in tips for job interview success. So, Jason, you've done a lot of different jobs in your life?
Yeah, I have done a few.
Yeah. And so you've been interviewed many times?
Yes, certainly a few times, yeah.
Yeah. And do you think you're a successful interviewee?
Well, I've always got the jobs that I pitch for and I wanted, so I guess I've been able to communicate quite effectively and get my ideas over, and so, yeah, I guess I have been quite a good interviewee.
Okay, and you've also interviewed people many times?
I wouldn't say many times, but I have had my own businesses, and there has been occasions where we have needed to take people on and make sure they're a good team fit, and I have, interviewed them.
So what do you look for with someone who you're interviewing?
Well, I think there are a number of things. Obviously, first of all, it's really important that they're a good team fit. So if they're coming into an environment to work with you, they've got to perhaps have some of the attributes or qualities that would enable them to do the job.
So when you say a team fit, you mean they will fit into the team you've already got?
Yeah, I think there's a number of things. I mean, they've got to have kind of the personal skills and capabilities to do the job.
Yeah.
They've got to be personable and be the kind of people that are able to get on with other people that are perhaps in your team, or the kind of people that you might be engaging them with if they're client facing.
Yeah.
So communication's really important. They've got to be clear, coherent, perhaps congruent. So they're not saying that
What's
they
congruent?
Well, I suppose that what they say matches their capabilities. What they say they can do, they can actually do it, and they believe it. So they're kind of at one with themselves.
Yeah.
And I think enthusiasm, passion, they've got to have something about them.
Yeah.
And they need to have the likability factor, I guess.
So, and actually we say the X factor, don't we?
Yeah, kind of, yeah. The X factor, I think that's where it's come from.
It's difficult to say exactly what that is, but very often in an interview you just know if it's the right person or not.
Yeah, I think, first of all, they've got to be capable of fulfilling the role, and you have to have, as an interviewer, clarity about what it is you want them to achieve, a job description, a role description, what that outcome is, so that it's very clearly conveyed to them. And of course, hopefully, if you've pre-qualified your interviewees, they're going to have those skills. Then it's about what's the difference that's going to make the difference, and have they got that personality? Have they got something about them that makes them likeable, and perhaps they're going to go that extra mile to serve you, serve the team, and serve your clients ultimately.
Okay, so we're being quite serious now, so I'm going to try and throw in something. Would you give me a job?
Yeah, of course. Yeah, depending on.
I'm not a team player.
I think, absolutely. As a one-man salesman out there in the field, and you only had to report to base once a month, then perhaps,
that sounds much better. Okay, so here are the 10 tips. Maybe you can comment. Maybe there'll be some words you could explain. Maybe. So number 1, first impressions count, or first impressions matter.
Yes.
Okay, yep, go on.
Okay, I mean, my old father used to say to me, you only get one chance to make a first impression.
Yeah.
So first impressions is that initial impact when you meet somebody. Are they scruffy? Are they...
Okay, scruffy is not dressed well.
Yeah, untidy, perhaps they're not dressed appropriately for the interview or the occasion. So first impressions definitely count. Yeah.
So you need to make an effort. I'll just read a little bit what it says here. Greet your interviewer with a smile and a firm handshake.
Yes.
Okay, so but not too firm. We were talking about this before, weren't we?
Yes.
So it's, in a way, it's good to practice handshakes, isn't it?
Yes, definitely.
Yeah.
My father also taught me how to do that as well.
And give eye contact.
Yes, that's very important. Yeah.
And try to make small talk during the walk from the reception area to the interview room. Well, sometimes you just go straight into the room, don't
Absolutely. I think it depends how it's set up, isn't it? You know, if you were greeting me in a reception area and you were saying to me, "Come this way, Jason, pleased to meet you," then we'd probably talk a little. Did you have a nice trip?
Yeah.
Are you nervous? You know, and you might say, "Don't be nervous. You know, just be natural."
Yeah. Okay, and a quote from a human resources manager. So that used to be called personnel, doesn't it? Human resources.
Years ago, yeah.
You have to sell yourself before you. Sorry, you have to sell yourself before you can sell anything else. And the first 30 seconds are when the interviewer subconsciously makes decisions about whether they like you or not, and whether you will fit into the team. So, what you were saying.
Yes, it just validates my experience and expertise, doesn't it? I'm just kidding. No, I think it's very important. Yeah, absolutely. I think people do make snap judgments, and obviously our subconscious mind picks up a lot of different signals that our conscious mind doesn't necessarily pick up on straight away, and we do get a sense about somebody fairly quickly. And people make judgments quickly. We do it, you know, all the time in normal life, and a lot of people say you shouldn't make judgments, you shouldn't judge a book by its cover. You know, however it happens, it is a natural thing that happens. And I think what's important is that people are aware of the impressions they're conveying, and also if we're making judgments of people, we sometimes need to calibrate that and just think about you know, what you've noticed in someone. It doesn't necessarily mean because they're scruffy that they can't do a job. There may be other circumstances as to why something's happening.
But I mean, you know, I kind of try to wear a nice ironed shirt or t-shirt when I do the videos, and have a shave, and you know, try and look decent or presentable.
Yes.
To create a good impression.
Yeah, absolutely.
So yeah, it's important.
I think I was just going to say one thing I forgot to say earlier is I think people definitely buy people.
Yeah.
So before products or services or anything else, people buy people, and people don't care how much you know until they know how much you care. You know, and you've got to be an authentic person, and of course if you're unsmartly dressed, or you're not looking in someone's eyes, you're not actively listening or paying attention, and if you know, then they're going to lose interest in you very quickly.
Okay, number 2, I think is very easy. Be prepared. So you need to know what the job entails, or what the job involves that you're going for. And you should, it says here, reread your CV. CV is curriculum vitae. Or we, sometimes we say resume,
that's right,
French word. And look at the look at the company website, or get some literature, and you may be asked about the salary, so you should also research that as well. Because sometimes you can say what you'd like to earn, for example, and if you say a really high amount, obviously you're not going to get it.
Well, it'll also show that you're not aware of what the market is paying for a particular role, you know, which should be relevant to the value you can add.
Okay. Here's a word that Lynn used in, I think, lesson 1. Don't waffle. So I'll just read it first. Answer questions properly, even if you need a few moments' silence to collect your thoughts. It's better to say you need a minute to think about your answer rather than speak instantly and regret it afterwards. So there's an expression, but I can't actually think of it off the top of my head.
Well, there's a couple that I can think of, which is, we say in England quite a lot, that prior preparation prevents piss poor performance, which is something that we all say to each other as a kind of a friendly reminder to people. And also there's another one that's very interesting, which is prepare, aim, fire. You know, so it's more important to prepare first, aim carefully, and then fire, rather than a scattergun approach. This is a metaphor, obviously. I'm just going to say this, and I'm going to say that, and hopefully something will resonate. You know, and there are times when that's appropriate, but in an interview where people are looking at your ability to communicate ideas and concepts and communicate effectively and with clarity, then it's really important to think first and then answer. Engage this before you engage this.
That's it. Okay, and number 4, why should they hire you, or why should they take you on? Most job adverts will list qualities they're looking for: a team worker, a good communicator. So it's up to you to think of examples of how you can demonstrate these skills. Be ready to talk about your knowledge, experience, abilities and skills, and have at least 3 strong points about yourself that you can relate to the company and the job you're going for. So this kind of makes sense, but of course not a lot of people don't do this, do they?
Well, it's all part of the preparation, isn't it?
Yeah,
I guess is knowing yourself, and of course, if you don't believe in yourself and you're not able to convey your belief in your conviction, then it's unlikely that any interviewer is going to believe in you either.
But of course, also, if you don't get the job, you shouldn't be, well, the word is, I would say, despondent.
Or disheartened.
Disheartened, because, of course, you might be great, but they just don't feel you're right for the team. Or
yeah, exactly. It comes back to the team fit, or they may feel you're too strong, or
you're too good.
Yeah, exactly. Or they can't afford you.
Yeah.
And sometimes even, it shouldn't happen, but sometimes, you find very qualified, dynamic people go for roles where the person that's interviewing them may feel even threatened. That can happen. There are other dynamics that come into play, and obviously if you are somebody that's very talented, they may feel, well, you're not going to stay in this position for long, or indeed my own position may be threatened, in which case sometimes it's not about you as the interviewee, it's about the company profile or their philosophy, or indeed the personal
or some
issues.
jobs or some company, they might just want a boring person in a way, because it's a boring job, for example.
Yeah, exactly. Well, I'll give them your number, Mark, if that's required.
Number 5, we need to speed up a little bit to fit into half an hour, I think. Be positive. Okay, it speaks for itself, doesn't it?
Yes, absolutely.
Your interviewer will be thinking about what it would be like to work with you. So the last thing they'll want to hear is you talking about your boss or current colleagues behind their back.
Yes.
Interviewers like to see someone who enjoys a challenge and is enthusiastic.
Absolutely. I'd said earlier on, passionate, enthusiastic, clear about what you want to achieve, talking about what you're going to do, not living in the past about the problems you've had or your personal life. It's not relevant. They're not interested. It is a business relationship ultimately.
So there's a quite famous song, actually. Accentuate the positive, eliminate the negative, and don't mess with Mr. In-Between.
Oh, okay.
So it's saying, positive. But it's difficult to, if you're not positive, to pretend to be positive, isn't it? But certainly avoid saying negative things, at least.
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay, body language. It's not what you say, but how you say it. During the interview, do not fold your arms and lean back or look to the floor. Sit upright and try to maintain good eye contact. Use your hands and lean forward when making a point. Many people cannot think and control their body language at the same time, which is why you need to prepare.
Woo. Absolutely.
So, again, it's good to actually, if you've got some friends or family, to actually try and... because a lot of people watching these videos are quite young, who maybe not done many interviews or any.
Yes, of course.
So these simple things, you don't play in a football match without training.
Absolutely.
So you shouldn't go to an interview without practicing.
Yeah, absolutely. And a little bit of role play is a good thing, because other people can comment on what they see and what they hear and how you are portraying yourself and what I think the most important thing is to be natural, to be yourself, and to build rapport. So to work on getting on with the person that you're talking to.
Yeah. Okay, number 7, expect the unexpected. Your interviewer may try to catch you off guard. Off guard means
unprepared.
Unprepared, yeah. So they might throw in a question that they would think perhaps you haven't prepared for.
What did you have for breakfast today?
Nothing.
That shows bad planning.
Oh yeah.
For example.
Yeah, actually you're right. If somebody interviewed me and I said, "What did you have for breakfast?" I said nothing. That actually might create a bad impression.
Yeah.
Maybe I was rushed, or...
How are you going to fuel yourself today?
Yeah.
How will you work properly if you haven't eaten properly this morning? Do you not care about yourself?
All right. It is impossible to plan for every question, such as, how would your colleagues describe you? But try to appear relaxed and in control. Ask the interviewer to repeat the question if necessary, but do not evade it, do not avoid it. Okay, hopefully you will not get in the same situation as some candidates at B&Q, which is a famous DIY store, who were asked to dance to Blame It on the Boogie. So in an interview, it would be quite amusing, wouldn't it?
Yes. I think there are reasons why they do things like this, and to see how people perform with unusual situations, and whether you can open your heart and mind and just do it, or whether you're going to resist doing something that might be unusual.
I remember one interview I went for, and they asked me, how would you sell this pen or something like that, and I just went rambling on and just speaking as fast as I could, rather than taking my time and perhaps saying, well, could I have a moment to prepare? I just went, and of course that's not the way to sell.
No.
You should actually ask questions, really.
Yes, that's probably the best way.
You've mentioned this before, so it must be a useful word. Number 8, develop rapport. Show energy, a sense of humour and smile. It's infectious, being positive and enthusiastic. Infectious means if you're positive, the other person will be positive, like we are.
Contagious is another expression people use. Yeah.
And also, ask your interviewer questions and about the company. So, yeah, don't be shy. Don't just sit back and respond, but be proactive.
Before I dance to Blame It on the Boogie, do you do a lot of dancing here at B&Q?
Exactly. Why would you ask me to do that? But obviously you're in the submissive position, aren't you? So you can't get too argumentative or...
Well, maybe not submissive, but neutral, because obviously, if somebody asks you to do something that was unreasonable, you should be confident enough to say, well, actually, sorry, I would be prepared to do that, but could you explain the
Or could you show me? Could you give me an example?
Exactly. I think if you say something and you're open and you're curious, that is a good state to be in a curious state.
You love that word. Number 9, clarify anything you are unsure of. If you are not certain what is meant by a particular question, ask for clarification. Ask them to make it clear. At the end, ask the interviewer if there's anything else he or she needs to know about. Do not be afraid to ask when you are likely to hear if you have been successful or not. So, very often at the end of an interview, the interviewer would say, is there anything else you'd like to ask? And if you say no, that's pretty bad, isn't it?
Well, I'm not sure if it's bad. It depends, I think, if you just say no. Well, if you just say no, yes, it probably is pretty bad. If you say no, you've done a really good job explaining everything and you've answered all of my questions. And if I think of anything else, would it be okay to contact you or something like that? I think that's better. Because if you just say no, it might be that, one, you weren't listening, or...
Well, they think you're not interested.
Oh, you're not interested, absolutely. And I think it shows that you have been actively listening if you ask questions.
Okay, and the last one, number 10, remember your manners. It is better to choose than to be chosen. Let's read the rest. I'm not sure what that means yet. Tell the interviewer why you are interested in the company and job opportunity. Ask them for a business card and follow it up by sending a thank you email or letter saying how much you enjoyed meeting them and how interested you are. And and obviously say please, thank you, etc., isn't it? I mean, it's obvious.
Yeah, good to meet you. Thank you for the opportunity. Thank you for answering my questions.
Yeah.
Thank you for sharing the company philosophy. All of these things. It's particularly in England, we are very hot, or we have been historically very hot on etiquette and politeness, haven't we?
Okay, when you say hot on, you mean keen, or it's important?
Very, very. We're very particular. People like manners. My mum used to say to me, "Manners maketh man." Yeah,
that's an old expression, isn't it? And then just at the end it says, by following the 3 P's, prepare, practice, perform, which you will turn yourself into a successful candidate.
Absolutely. You'll certainly increase your chances of success, won't you?
Okay, so we're going to stop this section, and then I'm going to actually, if you're up for it, if you're willing, do a little questionnaire with you, and you'll have to write down A, B, C or D.
Okay.
And so let's try that.
Will there be any dancing?
Maybe. Actually, would you like to just do a quick dance? Or?
Well, I could do a quick dance. So have you got some music to play?
Not on me.
Okay.
Brilliant. Thanks, Jason.
Okay, pleasure.